It's now my pleasure to introduce today's special guest and commencement speaker, Colin Allred, Berkeley Law Class of 2014. Former Congressman Allred was born and raised in Dallas, Texas, by a single mom who was a public school teacher. With the help of his community, Allred earned a football scholarship to Baylor University, became captain of the football team, and graduated with a degree in history. After college, he deferred his acceptance to law school to pursue a career in the National Football League, where he's a linebacker with the Tennessee Titans for 5 seasons. A career-ending injury opened the door for him to fulfill his other dream, becoming a civil rights lawyer. After graduating from Berkeley Law, Allred returned to his home state to work for Wendy Davis's gubernatorial campaign, overseeing the state's first statewide coordinated voter protection program. He then worked at the law firm Perkins Coie as a voting rights litigator, and he represented a range of clients and organizations in elections and voting rights matters. In 2016, Allred was appointed by President Barack Obama as a special assistant to the General Counsel of the Department of Housing and Urban Development, helping families access affordable housing and fair treatment by landlords and banks. After returning to Texas, Allred ran for Congress in 2018 and defeated an entrenched Republican incumbent in a nationally watched, high-profile race. In Congress, Allred was elected as the co-president of his congressional freshman class. During his time in Congress, Allred was a nationally recognized leader in protecting voting rights, a staunch defender of democracy and human rights as a member of the Foreign Affairs Committee, and a tireless advocate protecting women's reproductive rights after the overruling of Roe v. Wade. In 2023, Allred launched a historic campaign against Republican Senator Ted Cruz. Although his campaign ultimately fell short, Texas voters made a big mistake, Allred has remained in the fight for a better Texas and a brighter future for our country. Allred and his wife, Alexandra Eber, also a Berkeley Law graduate, live in Dallas, where they're raising their 2 sons, Jordan and Cameron. Please join me in welcoming Colin Allred, Berkeley Law Class of 2014.
All right, good morning. I guess P really does equal JD. Some of y'all were sweating that. Thank you, Dean Chemerinsky, for that kind introduction. It was a long one. And for all you've done for this great law school. Folks shouldn't be fooled by that smile he's got. I've seen your op-eds. Our dean can throw down. Listen, good morning, Berkeley Law Class of 2025. You made it. Congratulations in graduating from this proud public university. That's right. You have done something truly remarkable, and you are remarkable. You hail from every corner of our nation and from every part of the globe. In the JD class of 2025, a remarkable 20% of you are the first in your family to receive a college degree. Some of you are veterans of our armed forces. Others came to this university. That's right, there are veterans. Others came here already armed with a graduate degree. You are an exceptional bunch. But I know it hasn't been a breeze. I know that, whether you took the straight or the winding path, what you've accomplished is momentous, but you should take a moment to revel in it, to appreciate just what you've done. I know the stats about this class, but what I can't know are your individual stories, what you overcame to get here today, the struggles that you experienced, the hard times you might have weathered, or the classes that you never really did get. property for me. I'm still working on the rule against perpetuities. What I do know, though, is that just like me, you had some help. I'm a football player, so I tell football stories. I used to have a coach who'd say, if you ever see a turtle on a fence post, you know one thing about it. It didn't get there on its own. That's all of you. You think about it? Somebody put you on that fence post. Somebody stepped up and gave you a chance. To those folks, I want to say thank you. And congratulations to you as well. Give them a hand, class. You know, when I graduated from here over a decade ago, and man, that seems like it flew by, I felt a sense of accomplishment, absolutely. Pride, you bet. But also gratitude. As the dean said, I was born in Dallas to a single mom. And the odds that I would ever walk across this stage were just about zero. My birth certificate had 2 names on it, mine and my mom's. I never met my father. My mom was a struggling public school teacher at a time and a place when we didn't pay our teachers enough, which we still don't do. And it was a struggle, but folks stepped up and helped change my life. Folks like my aunt, my mom's sister, who was also a public school teacher in Texas, and who wanted to come to this university. She and my mom grew up in Brownsville, Texas, the very tip of Texas, where my grandfather was a customs officer. And she came out to the Bay to visit family before going to college, and she wanted to come here, but she couldn't afford it. So she went to UT in Austin and promised herself that one day she'd be back. She helped raise me from the age of 7. It's because of her and my family and my community that I was able to play in the NFL and become a civil rights lawyer, serve in Congress. But you know what? Almost 11 years ago to the day, she came back here to Berkeley Law and saw the boy that she helped raise walk across the stage that she wanted to walk across herself. You see, what I'm telling you is that graduating from a school like this means more than just getting a law degree. It can be, as it was for my family, a multi-generational goal, an accomplishment that can echo across a family, a community, and even a nation. Since leaving this law school just over a decade ago, I've worked in voting rights, served President Obama, been elected to Congress, and have served during some of the most momentous and, unfortunately, darkest times in our country. It's been a crowded decade. I don't remember what my commencement speaker said. I hope, though, that you'll remember this. Let me get back to where I was. The legal education that you received here comes with certain responsibilities. You're no longer just a citizen or a resident of our great nation. You've been given the tools to engage in our nation's longest-running conversation. What will America be? And since our founding, the law has always been about more than a narrow application of the statutes of the day. No, it's been more than that. It's a record, a memory of a nation wrestling with its conscience. The law has recorded moments of brilliant expansion of rights and the extinguishment of them, moments of magnanimity and the triumph of small-minded bigotry. It has recorded stains on our history like Dred Scott and Korematsu, and shining glimpses of promise like Brown and Roe. But through crisis and success, peacetime and war, it has cataloged in opinions and dissents, legislative history and executive action, our nation's struggle to form a more perfect union. Now with your graduation, it's your turn to make your mark on our nation's next chapter, to add your voice to our national conversation. My wife, Allie, and I graduated during a time of relative stability. You are not. You are graduating during a time when the rule of law itself is under attack, and courage and conviction seems in short supply. It's not right that before you even pass the bar, you may be asked to choose between your job and your values. But like so many generations of Americans who came before you, The choice that we have is not the time that we're going to live in, but what we're going to do with that time. We have seen in the capitulation of law firms and universities to unconstitutional dictates that courage is not a function of age, experience, or power. But we should have known that. My colleague and friend, Congressman John Lewis, who I served with, was just 25 years old when he walked across the Edmund Pettus Bridge, leading a group of praying protesters into history. He didn't wait to show bravery. The American story is full of examples of ordinary, seemingly powerless folks doing extraordinary things. I've seen it in my own career. Grandmothers standing up to voter suppression, students refusing to be silenced, women who bravely told the world about the worst moments in their lives to highlight the dangers of banning abortion and access to reproductive care. I have seen that courage in this country is not a relic of the past. But for much of our recent history, the legal profession has been insulated from truly having to expose ourselves to the growing threat of illegality, corruption, and coercion that so many other Americans have faced. We've tried cases and written papers, but our careers were never really in question the way that they are for whistleblowers and alarm raisers. We've seen poll workers and election officials threatened, even our Capitol stormed. But within the legal profession, we've maintained the fiction that the collapse of institutions all around us could never breach the ivory walls of big law, elite law schools, and the mighty legal establishment. We have too often lost touch with the people that we enter the legal profession to help and the national interests that we understood to be fundamental. Through pandemics and riots, affordability crises, and a radical Supreme Court that would make even the Lochner court blush, that's for you, Professor Holmquist, many in the legal profession have remained complacent. So when formerly proud law firms were targeted with blatantly and crudely illegal executive orders, they were unprepared. They looked to their business interests first and not to their fundamental beliefs. And somehow, a legal profession built on zealous representation of clients and their interests, often in opposition to the government, failed to fiercely guard the most foundational building block upon which their practices rested, the rule of law. Their complacency led to cowardice. How are you going to fight for your client if you can't even stand up for yourself? How can the rule of law survive when it's not based on facts and precedent, but on fear and fealty? Why should anyone swept up in our criminal justice system, like some of the kids I grew up with, expect to get a fair shake when they see the law so brazenly and openly broken with the acquiescence of the officers of the court? They can't. They can't. And who will the wrongly targeted, the vulnerable, and the voiceless turn to when they need help? You see, when the legal profession abandons the rule of law, the very people charged with defending it, we lose far more than just some money. We can lose our way. We can lose our republic. It's not fair that at the dawn of your legal careers, you'll be faced with these questions. I wish I could just congratulate you, tell a few jokes, make fun of Stanford, and send you on your way. But this is what you're going to face. Courage, we've seen, is not universal, but it is a prerequisite for a comeback. Whatever other attributes you will exhibit in your legal career, if you are to do good, courage will have to be one of them. You've earned the right to enter the legal profession with your heads held high and with a certain knowledge that you have something to contribute. But that diploma, that's a fake one, but you're going to get it later. That diploma that you put on your wall has invisible strings attached to it. strings that require you to do more than just pursue your personal interest. This is a public school, after all. And as you stand up, and as you fight for what you know is right, remember that we cannot fight for the institutions of the law as they were. I can tell you, as a practicing civil rights lawyer, and as someone who was a lawmaker, they were broken. The status quo wasn't good enough. And folks have rightly demanded that we do better. Our task then is to follow the trail that's been blazed by generations before us, to continue the great American project of loving your country enough to fight for it, criticize it, and to change it for the better. I'm almost done, y'all. Hang in there. In his last speech before he was assassinated, Dr. King said, "All we say to America is be true to what you said on paper." I think about that all the time, about the direct line that it drew across centuries to the Declaration's aspirational and idealistic statement that we hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal. What will America be? We've always known what it should be. It's written right there in the statement of our first principles. It's imprinted on our national conscience. But our democracy is a relay race. The responsibility for maintaining it passed from one generation to the next. And it's your turn now to take the baton and run. But you won't be alone. Graduates, can you stand up? I am honored to be the first to welcome you into our esteemed profession, perhaps the most important profession of our times. I cannot wait to see all the amazing things that you will do, and I will be right there beside you. Congratulations, graduates. May God bless you. Si se puede.